Hello friends! Today I'm going to bring you a recent reads video, so things I have read recently, obviously. I haven't actually done a dedicated recent reads video since like April. I definitely have been keeping you up to date with what I've been reading, but they've mostly been like special videos or things for readathons, that sort of thing, or I've talked about it a lot in a haul that I've done. There are some books that I have read that I haven't talked about yet and that I really want to, so I thought I would do this recent reads video. This is probably going to be the last recent reads for this year. The rest of my reading is going to be for probably dedicated vlogs and for the 25 days of manga that is coming up in December. You will get wrap-ups and TBR videos, hopefully, for at least 25 days of manga. The books I'm going to talk about in this video span audiobooks, novels, and of course manga. The first book that I want to talk about is Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, and I read this on audiobook and it is fantastic. This is the second book in the Diviners series, and the Diviners series is amazing. I read the first one probably this time last year and just didn't get around to the second one until like about a month ago. I'm reading these on audiobook and my library didn't have them. Libby didn't have them, so I was just kind of waiting for it to show up, but then I realized I still have my library card from the old county that I lived in, so I just like checked on the Libby app for that and they all were there, so I'm just using that. Potentially stealing audiobooks from different counties aside, Lair of Dreams was fantastic. So if you have not heard about the Diviner series, it is a YA paranormal fantasy story set in 1920s New York, and it is everything. I have slept on this series, to be honest. I'd heard about it for a long time, and then finally last year Monica Kim was doing like a big read-along to get ready for the last book, and I participated in the first bit of it and then just couldn't get the rest of the books for the last bit of it, so I only read the first one. I'm so happy that I read this because it's one of my new favorite series. Like, I am obsessed. I love it so much. So the Diviners is set in the 1920s, and it's kind of about this girl named Evie O'Neill, and she has a special power where she can read objects. So she can hold an object and kind of see the history of it and find out information about its owner, where it's been, that sort of thing. And this isn't really a super uncommon power. Like, people know about it. It's not like a super secret thing. There are other people that are considered diviners. And so she goes to New York, meets up with her uncle, and they go on this like paranormal adventure. A lot of the magic in this has to do with reading objects, fortune telling, and dreams especially, which are some of my favorite types of magic. Like, dream magic is super cool. I'm really into that, so I'm glad that this is heavily featured in the Diviners series. Lair of Dreams kind of takes off from where the Diviners ended and kind of expands this overarching plot. You get a little more clues and things like that, and this one, strangely timely, I think. So in Lair of Dreams, one of the main conflicts is that there is this sickness that is being spread among the city, and it starts in Chinatown. So a lot of people are being very racist towards Chinese people because they think they have started this illness. Sound familiar? There's just a coincidence that this plot, I read a book with this plot in this time where there is a similar thing happening. The sicknesses are very, very different. And of course, coronavirus is not caused by a ghost. I think the larger conversations in this book and in this series are really important. It tackles a lot of racism, and also it tackles, I don't really know the term for this, but it goes into a lot of like American idealism, or like America first, or the thought that the United States is the greatest country on the planet, which is super toxic. It goes into a lot of that, and I can kind of see where that's going to play into the larger plot. So very interesting. It just seems to be tackling a lot of issues that we are tackling right now in the United States. I mean, we all know the United States is very broken and has been forever. But anyway, super, super good story. I love the paranormal features in it. The cast of characters is fantastic. There is a romantic subplot, and you all know I love a romantic subplot. There's some fake dating, which is just chef's kiss, so good. And the audiobook for this is so good. Like, if you want to read the audiobook, like, or if you like audiobooks, then pick up the audiobook for The Diviners. It's amazing. The narrator is fantastic. She does really great voices, and the really spooky parts of it she makes extra spooky. Definitely if you like paranormal fantasy, urban fantasy, and like period fantasy, like definitely check this out because it is amazing. I really love the Diviner series and I can't wait to read the rest of it. The next book that I read is A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green. So this book came out, I think this came out this year, I think in the middle of the year, and it is the sequel to Hank Green's debut novel, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. So the first book is about this girl named April, and she is the first one to discover these kind of alien statues that appear in New York and across the world. So she kind of goes viral with this video that she made with her friend. It really goes into April diving into her newfound viral internet fame and also society when they're faced with potentially alien invaders. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is a absolutely remarkable book, and it's definitely a book that pretty much only Hank Green could probably have written. The way that it deals with internet fame and discusses that in a really complex and like nuanced way. If you don't know who Hank Green is, he is one half of the Vlogbrothers, so he's like a famous internet person and has been a famous internet person for a very long time. He also used to run VidCon. He's been very invested in famous people on the internet for a long time, so he sees what internet fame does to people, probably what it has done to him, and how that affects relationships and everything like that. And it's definitely a book that like only Hank Green could write. This one picks up where the first one ended. While the first book is a lot about the main character April's experience, this expands more into the consequences of what happens in the first one and the people around her, and more of a, while the first one was more of like an internal experience, this is more of an external experience, I want to say. It's so good. It's so much fun. A lot of some of the sciencey things in it kind of went over my head, but didn't really take away from the like amazing story that this is. So I definitely recommend this story to everyone, even if you're like not a science fiction person. It's not super science fiction. It's more kind of like society and I guess internet fame with the first one. So really well done, an amazing read, and I am so glad that Hank decided to write this book because it's super good and I think super important. Those are the only novels that I have read recently, and so I'm gonna go into some of the manga that I have read recently. So the first manga that I'm going to talk about is volumes 1 and 2 of Gate 7 by Clamp. So this is one of Clamp's unfinished series. There are only 4 volumes, and I don't know if it's been cancelled. I don't think it's one of the ones that was cancelled, but it's definitely unfinished, and it's been unfinished for a long time, so when it's Clamp, you know that it's never gonna be finished. This is about a guy named Takamoto, and he's like obsessed with Kyoto, and so he goes to visit Kyoto and he stumbles into this sort of alternate dimension, I want to say, and he runs into these people who are fighting supernatural beings, is the best way I can describe it. Takamoto is not supposed to be in this dimension, so that's what makes him interesting to these people. So he meets these people. The main one is named Hana, and she is a little girl. I don't really know if she's a girl. It seems like her gender is kind of inconclusive, non-binary, that sort of thing, but the pronouns that they do use in the story are she, her. I feel like with Clamp they have a lot of characters who are kind of like gender ambiguous or possibly non-binary, so I feel like Hana is actually like non-binary. The translators used she, her. I don't know what the language is in Japanese, but that's just kind of like the vibe that I get from this. So Takamoto has a kind of connection with Hana and is kind of recruited to join their friends because since he has come into this new dimension, or he is able to enter this magical dimension border thing, he is somehow special. One thing leads to another, and he ends up moving to Kyoto and joining up with this group of people, and Hana kind of gets entangled in their fight against these supernatural beings. And to be honest, I'm not 100% clear what the end goal is here or why they are fighting. There's something to do with demons and like getting the most powerful one, and it's like a power, like a big supernatural power battle, I think is what's going on. The interesting thing about this is a lot of the characters are reincarnations or spirits, have the spirit of a Japanese historical figure. People like Nobunaga and Tokoyama Ieyasu, is that what their name is? I don't know, but lots of historical Japanese figures. That's a part that I'm a little bit lost on. There's lots of explanation and lots of very large speech bubbles, so I got a little bit lost, and there are a lot of like translator notes in these, like pages of translator notes at the end of each volume. So there's lots of explaining to do, and I feel like if you're not super invested or knowledgeable about like Japanese history, then you're not really gonna get a lot of it. I know I was a little bit lost, and I'm like semi-familiar with it. I've taken classes, but obviously forgotten a lot of stuff. So I feel like it works a little bit better with a Japanese audience because they will be a little more familiar with their own history than me, an American. It's also a little bit frustrating reading this knowing that it is unfinished because I have 4,000 questions and I know none of them are going to be answered because Clamp likes to drop all of their answers at the end and none of them in the middle. So I know probably by the 4th volume I'm still going to have a ton of questions, but none of them are going to be answered. So I'm not 100% sure how I feel on this yet. I'm gonna have to read the next 2 volumes to really give a conclusion on what it is. Definitely the art is like beautiful. I love Hana's outfits, and like the cosplayer in me is like, you do not have the skills for this, but you want to cosplay this so badly. So I don't really have like, I don't really rank individual volumes of manga, but this is definitely like on the lower end of things I like about Clamp. The next volume of manga that I have read semi-recently is Anonymous Noise, and this is by Ryoko Fukuyama. So this is about a girl named Nino who as a child likes to sing, and she sings a lot with her childhood friend next door neighbor boy. He moves away very suddenly. She has no idea where he went, no contact with him whatsoever. And then later on she meets another boy named Yuzu, and he like writes music, so they sing together. And then Yuzu disappears, so she is left without all of her music friends. Every day she wishes for her friend Yuzu to come back, her friend Momo to come back, and eventually she ends up in high school. She starts high school. She seems like she's kind of like antisocial. She wears a mask all the time and can sing, but only really sings so she can find her friends. There's also a famous pop group that goes to her high school, and in high school she runs into Yuzu, who's part of this band. It's about her finding out that it's actually Yuzu, her childhood friend that was a composer, and her wanting to love music again and joining this pop group. I don't really like this. I didn't connect with any of the characters. It seemed very chaotic, like not in a good way. I just didn't know what was happening. The 2 childhood friends who love music, like I know where that's going. Introducing them both as children just made it more confusing, trying to figure out which one is which, remember which one is which. So not super thrilled on this. Normally I try to give a series 3 volumes before I make a decision on it, but I have the 2nd volume and I don't think I'm gonna read it. I just didn't really vibe with this at all. I know it's a really long series, like it's 20+ volumes, and I just don't want to invest my time or money into this series at all. The next manga that I want to talk about are digital manga. The first one is a whole series. It is volumes 1 through 4 of The Dorm of Love and Secrets. So I talked about this a little bit in like my last manga haul, but I wanted to talk about more of my thoughts on the series. So this is a series about a girl who goes to a high school that has been combined with a, I guess, high achieving high school. So there is the high achiever, the high class side of the high school, and then the low class, which is just like the normal students. And our main character, whose name is escaping me, I think it's Asahi, she one thing leads to another, and her dorm that she lives in is not available to live in. I think it burns down, but I'm not 100% sure. In order to avoid commuting hours and hours from her parents' house to school every morning, she is invited to live in the high-class dorm. And since she is a low-class student, she is not supposed to live in the high-class dorm. So she has to keep this a secret from everyone. So this series is about her trying to keep this secret, and then she meets a boy who also has a secret, and so it's about them like kind of keeping each other's secrets and the relationship that forms between them. There's a rule about romantic relationships, so it's them like sneaking around when they kind of have feelings for each other, and it's just super sweet. It's only 4 volumes, so it moves pretty quickly, but it's kind of a simple story and just really fluffy and cute, so I really liked it. I would have liked a little bit more backstory, but since it is only 4 volumes long, there's not going to be a lot of space for backstory, but you get enough to be mostly satisfied. I really liked the main boy character. He kind of comes off as like a little bit tsundere, like he's really, he can be kind of like cold and mean, but also really sweet. He defends Asahi a lot. A lot of people call her really stupid, but he's like, no, she's not stupid, that sort of thing. It's really cute, and I liked seeing their romance blossom, and also the relationship between the two kind of bridges the gap between the two sides of the school, and it's kind of the school comes together a little bit more. Really cute. It's a digital only series from Kodansha, so I'll leave a link in the description to the Kodansha page where it'll have all the options of where you can purchase it, but I got it on Kindle and Comixology. Next up, I read volume 1 of Practice Makes Perfect. This is a mature manga, and it is about 2 Japanese Olympic athletes who come together to learn how to be in a relationship. So you have the female character, I can't remember anybody's names right now, I'm sorry, but the female character plays volleyball and the male character is a judo person. Both of them have been very unlucky in love. They've been kind of focused on their sports, so they haven't had a lot of time to date and learn about relationships and learn about sex. One thing leads to another, and the 2 of them meet and they decide to tackle their problem together and practice having a relationship so that they can be prepared for their potential partners. They kind of just like meet up in a love hotel and practice kissing and stuff like that, and it's super cute. They sort of have like a kind of bumbling sort of romance, clueless type of thing, so if you like that, I think this will be perfect for you. It's definitely a mature manga, and it gets a little spicy, and I think it's gonna get spicier. I was reading it at work, and I probably should not have been doing that. The 2 of them kind of like start to catch feelings, and I'm just very excited to see where this goes. I think there are only 4 volumes of this, so I'm hopefully gonna finish this by the end of the year because I'm really excited to read it. The next manga that I read is volume 1 of Blue Period. So this is a manga that I got on NetGalley. It is currently on sale, so you can go and purchase this right now. I'm very behind on my NetGalley reads again. Blue Period is about a boy whose name I can't remember again. I should definitely write notes for these. But it's about a guy, and he kind of coasts through high school. He's good at studying, he gets good grades, and he doesn't really have much direction in life. He doesn't have anything that he's super passionate about. That is until he finds the art club. He finds the art club and he is super inspired, and he decides that he really wants to do art, and he wants to go to art college. He wants to make art his future. It's about him learning how to do art and what it takes to be an artist. It is a little bit of a art tutorial. There are long explanations about color usage and about perspective and different types of drawings and stuff like that, so it does feel like a little bit of an art tutorial, and hopefully that since it's just volume 1, that's where most of that is going to be concentrated. I don't know about the rest of the series, but it did seem a little bit heavy on the art tutorial, which I would have liked less of. A really good conversation this manga does have is like the concept of natural talent versus hard work, and how you get good at drawing or good at art, and if you need to have a really hard work ethic, or if just natural talent is all you need. It was a really inspiring volume of manga for me because at the time that I read it, I was thinking a lot about maybe how I feel like I'm not so good at some stuff and there are other people that are better at it than me, and why are these other people better at it than me. And it was a little bit of what the main character was going through. We had sort of the same feelings, and just seeing him realize that, oh, these other people have put in a ton of work for what they've achieved, that he needs to do that in order to become, like, get on their level. And I was like, oh, that's just what I need to do, because I realized I wasn't putting in the work or the time to do the thing that I was doing, versus what the people I was comparing myself to. It's definitely inspiring, at least for me in my specific situation. I think a lot of people look at artists and they're like, oh, you're so talented, but artists put in a ton of work into their art. People don't normally see that or see the value in it, so it really helps you see the value of hard work that artists and other people put into the things that they are good at. So I really like that about that. I'm excited to see where the rest of this goes and kind of the struggles that the main character goes through. The last 2 volumes of manga I read were volumes 1 and 2 of Say I Love You. This is a manga series that I read on Kindle Unlimited. I think the first 8 volumes of this are on Kindle Unlimited, so I was kind of just looking for something to read on my iPad break from work, and I decided to pick this up. I'm really glad that I did. I have seen the anime for this, but it was a long time ago and I don't really remember much from the anime, so this is kind of a whole new experience for me. I also think that the manga and the anime are a little bit different. I think the manga is a little more spicier than the anime was. But essentially this is about a girl. I should definitely learn the names of these characters or remember them at least. But a girl who's very antisocial. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She's been burned by people when she was younger, so she's just kind of sworn off friends completely. And she meets the popular guy. Oh, her name is May. Her name is May. So May is super antisocial. She meets the popular guy at school, Yamato, and things happen and he becomes very interested in her. He was like, that girl is weird, I like her, let me be friends. Their relationship eventually evolves quite quickly into a romance, but I think that's the point. It wants to spend more time on the actual relationship rather than getting to the relationship. It's kind of about May opening up to Yamato and kind of learning how to make friends and learning about like what love is. So while this manga is mainly about May and Yamato, there are also several side characters that seem to be kind of like episodic, where it helps their relationship problems. So it'll be somebody who is friends with one of them, like friends with Yamato, and he has relationship problems and he wants to be better at it or something like that. And so it's kind of like May and Yamato helping or being adjacent to these other people that have kind of relationship problems and them working through it. It's really cute. It is the kind of shy girl and popular boy formula, but I think it's done a little bit different since kind of May is just like, I just don't want friends, I'm weird, rather than just like, I'm super shy, like maybe somebody from Ran the Peerless Beauty or Kimi ni Todoke. So it's a little bit different in that regard, and so I really liked that kind of spin on that like shy girl, popular boy trope. Definitely more mature manga. Wasn't expecting. Not super spicy, but like there's some heat to it. So just be warned that there is a lot of talk about sex. There are a lot of kind of implied sex scenes, or kind of like right before or right after that. So if that's not something you want in your shoujo manga, then don't. It's really good, it's really cute, and I'm excited to read the rest of it. I don't really know if I'm going to collect it or add it to my collection, but I'm gonna read through at least the 8 volumes on Kindle Unlimited and I will make a decision after that. That's everything that I've read. I finally got through it all. Doesn't seem like a lot, but I was definitely talking for a long time. Let me know in the comments if you read any of these and what you think of them and what you think I should read next. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want more manga, bookish, nerdy content from me. I am trying to get to 2,400 subscribers by the beginning of December, so subscribing to my channel would really help me out. I'm gonna have a live show on December 6th, so come to that. I hope it will be fun. That is all I've got for you guys today. I'm Chrissy Lou. Until next time, mata ne!